I mean, like, that's always my thing. Like, there's some people, that don't rub you the right way, or you don't rub them the right way, kind of thing. But even then, it's like patience.
Yeah.
Like you said, some people have walls and barriers that are taller than the sky, right? So I mean, sometimes you just really have to be patient, and it could frustrate you. I'm not gonna lie. Like, sometimes you get frustrated, but at the end of the day, if you keep going back and saying patience, patience, you don't have to do anything out of the ordinary, but just be patient, just be yourself. And as long as everything you do is coming from a good place, before you know it, those walls will start breaking down.
Amen.
Bit by bit. Absolutely.
I love that, because like in 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient.
Love is patient.
And
that's
like,
right.
It hit me a few years ago that like I was in a relationship that broke.
Yes.
And when it broke, I really thought about, did I really love? And that is a big question.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people
and not even just
themselves.
romanticize just love. You're right. According to like what the scripture says, you ask yourself, whether in a relationship or friendship or family, did you really love this person? You know what I mean? That's a good question.
To the fullness of the definition, because like it's so easy to take the victim.
Yes, it is.
But like to really take ownership over your thoughts, over your actions, over your feelings. It's something that like I feel like is empowering to release.
Absolutely.
A lot of people want to claim things and like stand on them, like that is their power, but no. To let go of those things is bigger than you. To submit them to God and let Him do what He needs to do to heal you, to restore you, and wash those things away. That is true empowerment.
That is true empowerment. Oh my gosh, yes. And that's what people don't realize. Letting go of that ego is where the true power stands. And I think like, I love movies too, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is making people think that it's the ego that gives you power. It's never the ego, it's always the humility that gives you power. When I look at the amount of people, for example, that have been famous, right? Even if you want to go back to Einstein, he was famous. But even Einstein said, at the end of the day, it's God. He's a scientist that he proclaimed God, right?
Yes.
And he even used his science as a vessel to show you, this is bigger than us, right? A lot of people might leave that part out, but it's the truth. And even him, he was so humble in himself. And he's now known as one of the most smartest, brilliant people that ever lived, right? So it's really humility that really takes the ownership, over my life, and I go by it as much as I possibly can, you know?
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. That's great.
I love that. I love how free that you, like, for me, it's an honor to sit and...
It's an honor for me to sit by you. Come on.
But like to be able... Oh no, I'm gonna cry. But for you to be open and trust me with the things of your heart. Because I find too, like, people don't think that I'm reserved, because I'm kind of like out there. Like, I'm really like, but at the same time, like we were talking about, like, I really believe that it's like the wisdom of God to preserve you.
Absolutely.
Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will rub you the right way, and you won't rub other people the right way either. But to really love your neighbor, whatever they're doing, whatever I'm doing, like I'm not like perfect.
Exactly.
But
nobody's
like
perfect, that's the truth. And that's another thing I want to tell people too, is like, the first thing they judge you on being a believer especially is that, you think you're all that. You never think you're all that. Even being kind, you're not all that. Like, you have down moments. It's what you do, to basically trump that feeling of fear or doubt or anything like that. Like, think of a job interview, right? And someone says, what's your weakness? And for example, if you say being too shy is my weakness, but then you always have to answer and say how you're overcoming that. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to communication classes, or you're doing something to remedy that weakness you have. And that's life, I mean, sometimes we get doubtful and insecure, but what are you doing every day to remedy that? Like me, I go back to scriptures all the time, or I go to a family member or a friend and we start speaking about, faith or believing, spiritual stuff, and then I feel better, and hopefully I get stronger by that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah. I feel like people forget that we are body, soul, and spirit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people idolize the body by like working out or whatever food they eat or whatever. Yeah. And whatever things the world says to feed your soul and whatnot. But like when your spirit is lacking, the balance is off.
It's completely off. And I believe that.
I think the spirit is the strongest. Like it brings connection to everything. It brings your connection to God. When we don't feed our spirit, it's like we're in a desert. Yes, it's dry, and you're searching for something that you lack the ability to take. You're just thirsting for something that is true. You're looking in different places, where to drink, what to take, and when you don't realize that it's the spirit that's thirsty, then you're forever searching for something that you will never be able to quench.
I love it. And that's the truth, Maria. It's the honest truth, because when it comes to spiritual things, I always try to take care of my spirit first in everything that I do. Even before I was teaching dance, I always said to myself, I never asked like, is my body able to do this? Because your body can go through trauma doing, coming with choreo and then teaching it every week. But that was the least of my problems. My thing was, is my spirit ready for this, right? I mean, the dance community could get pretty heavy. You know what I mean? There's a lot of judgment in the dance community, right? Amongst dancers and amongst students and all that kind of stuff, studios, clash and all that kind of stuff. But me growing up, honestly, like it wasn't too easy for me in high school. You know what I mean? I was always like a different kid, right? So it was always like, he's too shy, or he thinks he's all that because he doesn't participate with us, or it's just always something like culturally, ethnicity wise, it's always something that has you as an outsider. So I know how that feels growing up. So now being an adult and seeing so many people like love how I teach and all that kind of stuff, it's not like I'm like, oh, look at me now. It's more like, I'm glad you guys are finally able to see my true spirit. And how I am, kind of thing. It's never about myself. So, and that's what I wanted to do when I was young. But people are young. I even have to find a way to say, you know what, you guys were young too, kind of thing, right? Like you guys didn't understand. I mean, seeing it, because from small, like my grandmother had such a big part to play in like my spirituality from very small. Like even before I understood it, like she never forced me into church, but I knew that when I went to church, she did it in love. Like I remember how she used to get me ready for church and how she used to sing and all that kind of stuff. So I was always grounded from young. I knew a sense of God from young. But growing up, you got to find him yourself still. Yes. You know what I'm saying? You have to still choose for yourself as you get older. So, growing up with that sense of knowing, I can see how it can, make you a bit of an outcast. You think differently, right? So, I mean, now that I'm older and I look back at some people that were bullying me, it's like, man, you were just young too. You didn't know. You probably had a different upbringing than I did and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly, at this point, don't hold it against them. Yes. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure if they were to meet me now, unless they had their own reservations, it would be fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
That's what I find. Like,
hope I'm not talking too much.
No. Okay. I love it.
All right.
I've been finding, like, as I grow older, I'm more attentive to being aware of how to love greater, like how to love the way God loves. And I feel like the world really misunderstands because of differences and whatnot, but like he loved everyone, the whole world,
absolutely
so much that he just wanted to show them that he sent his son to show you how to walk in love.
Amen.
That he would give his life that we can be free, that we don't have to be held in bondage by like judgment, by guilt, by shame, by all of that. Like he walked this earth for 30 years, and
which is a very young life.
A very young life.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But to do the things and to change the world the way he did, to show what love was, that love isn't just butterflies, kisses, cuddles.
Exactly.
It's sacrifice.
It's sacrifice. That's it. And when the Bible says, you know, love is patient and kind and all that kind of stuff, all that is sacrifice. Like you have to sacrifice a piece of your flesh, because you know you get impatient, right? That's part of your flesh. You get frustrated. That's a weakness. All anger, all that is a weakness of your flesh. But to overcome that is the true love. It's sacrificing just a piece of your flesh all the time. Whether it's greed, it's lust, whatever, you gotta keep sacrificing over and over. But, you know, it's still nice to know that someone died for us, that even when we do fall into weaknesses, he's still there, you know, to pick us back up and keep going. You know what I mean? So that's amazing in itself. That's ultimate love, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like, I think so too. And to grow in that, like it's like there's no cap.
Exactly.
There's no ceiling. Like we just continually have the opportunity
that's
to
right.
grow in it.
That's
like
right.
Every adversity, every person that rubs you the wrong way.
Yes,
like
oh man.
The person who like honks at you while you're crossing the street, the person who cuts you off. Like you have the opportunity to grow in love.